Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, people from Denmark and Venezuela alike. We are back with the Starcaster tournament. Today, on my side, as always, you have Shibo, the Denmark Beast.
Hello.
And we also this live stream is brought to you by the very talented producer Zinzia. And to our server moderator, we have Starstro64 that I cannot for the life of me say in any other way that it reminds me to a certain game about animals in space for the Nintendo 64. So how are you today, Shibo?
I am doing pretty good. Very excited for the games we're going to see today. As I do think that we're going to see Serenity step up a little bit more this time. And the other team had a really good first two games. So I think we're going to have a great match today.
Team Sen was able to take advantage from a variety of moments during the game. They were able to secure specific objectives. They were able to bounce back from a really rough start against Cookie Crazy Camels, and overall they are really good. Like Team Sen is fantastic, and Serenity had a really match against Haru's Harem. But overall, they played really well. We saw a lot of presence in the jungle. Blitzy is definitely a beast with Udyr, and that's definitely something that we're going to see banned.
Oh, definitely. A lot of pressure from both junglers in Serenity and Haru. It's not the match we're going to see today, but in that we did see both junglers kind of at odds with, fighting each other over who had most presence. And Serenity in this game, they are not going to have their substitutes. They did have substitutes against Haru. They're not going to have against Team Sen. And therefore, we're going to see the Team Serenity at full force here tonight.
Really exciting stuff. Now that you know a little bit more of Serenity, what do you think is going to be the strongest link? Like the thing that they're going to need to get into to actually win the match?
So White in the mid lane is actually one of the scariest people I've ever played against. And
Mhm.
with he is very knowledgeable and he is very strong at his role. So he's also the shot caller for Serenity and the one doing picks and bans.
Yeah,
I
we're seeing the
definitely
picks and
see.
bans right now.
So I definitely expect a lot of pressure on the mid lane, and maybe the jungler will focus a little bit on mid lane just to get him ahead in mid, and see if they can snowball out from that lane.
Serenity got the early sack pick, and they banned Caitlyn, Darius, and Yumi. And at the same time, we see Team Sen that ban Ezreal, Lulu, and Silas. They don't want very consistent picks. They want to force Serenity into a corner when it comes to their picks. We're seeing Serenity getting the Karma. The Karma was a pick that was done last time, and he didn't have a lot of presence. But when the team fights came together, she was vital to the survival of Serenity.
Yeah, just being able to apply that movement speed, apply those shields to a whole team, and then just run in together when you're all running faster than the enemy is so scary because it's really difficult to go back. And the Evelyn pick from Team Sen.
We're seeing very risky, like they want to either hyper carry or they want much about the consistency. The Seraphine Jean pick has always been a fan favorite because the synergy is so great, and right now you're seeing the guys over at Serenity looking for. I wonder what they want to ban next. But top lane and mid lane is all odds right now,
It
and they're
really
banning the
is.
Riven.
They are banning Riven. I do want to say in that bot lane, the Seraphine Jin is a really oppressive combo, but it's also, in a sense, a very comfortable team to pick. You could pick that bot lane into almost anything and you would do fine. So picking
They're getting rid
Kai'Sa
of the
against it
Zed.
is actually the set and the Pantheon taken away from White Ninja in the mid lane,
Yeah,
as he
it
is
looks
known
like
for his
they.
Pantheon.
And he actually, that's not all. Team Sen performed really well with Zed too. So
They did.
they they don't want like Serenity wants to get rid of that set too, and we're seeing a
Nasus.
Nasus ban.
Susan getting out of here.
The odd ones out in both bands are both Riven and Nasus. I want to check real quick whether can check real quick who's of of Serenity does like really well with Riven, because that will be a spectacle if you have like a one trick Riven here, and Team Sen is
Oh, that
going
will
that
be
with the
the
Shen.
top laner does play Riven from time to time. Yeah, that's Shen again. That seems to be a very comfortable, a very safe pick. Probably from Sen. That's probably a champion that he knows very well because it is the second time he picked it blind without knowing what he's against. So
Yes, he was thrown in a situation that whether he was going to give advantage to the mid lane, which it's a really important role for this match, or whether they were going to give advantage to the top lane. And I think it's more important, at least for team play, the mid laner really needs a little bit extra. And when it comes to Nar in the top lane was actually hit a little hard in the latest patch, and we're seeing the
ooh,
Yone.
the Yone. Alright, so we are seeing a hyper carry in mid lane. He's picking it blind too. He's like, come at me, pick me what you want. Let's see what the Sen picks here because I am
Will we see a
expecting a lot
Yasuo? Do
of
you think
pressure
we're
in the
going to
mid.
see a? Do you think
I
we're going to
don't
see
think
a
a
Yasuo,
Yasuo. Yone does very
or
well into
maybe,
Yasuo.
a Master Yi?
Master Yi. I don't think we're gonna see
We're
another
full.
one. That
Starcaster
game.
has been characterized for being full of surprises,
The
and we're
Viego.
seeing
Okay.
Viego mid lane. I like what I'm seeing. Both teams are really perform really well, even though Serenity didn't win both games when it did before. Like these guys do really well. Like they perform fantastically well, to be perfectly honest. I really like what they do, and they're definitely playing like with a professional standard. They know which things they want to ban, they know which things they want to get rid of, they know exactly what they want essentially.
Yes, definitely. And as expected, this mid lane, they're both playing very aggressive champions. I think we're gonna see a lot
Who
of
do you
fights in
think?
men.
Yeah, and I want to ask you, who do you think won the draft? From just
Ooh,
like an opinion base, there's
yes.
no foundation in what we're going to say. We're just like looking at them without the team names. Who do you think has the most solid
So
composition?
I really like Serenity just because the Team Sin does not have any kind of delivery for the Shen ult. The Shen can ultimate somebody, but it's really difficult to get Shen into the enemy team. And they don't really have any strong engage unless it's Seraphine ult, where
Okay.
Serenity's game plan is actually very straightforward and pretty easy to execute. Sack jumps in, Nara jumps in, they both ult and AoE everything down.
Yeah, I totally say that. Another thing that I like is the synergy for fightings. Like they're doing a lot for it, and to me, it's just great how they're handling everything.
Yes,
So now that the draft is done, now that the draft is done, it's really good to see how they're handling everything.
it is going to be interesting to see how they handle it. Team Sen definitely has the more difficult team to play here. Like the skill required to play their comp is higher than Serenity's. But they have shown they won their first game, right? So we know that they can show up and they can play these champions.
Yes.
So just smile. So with
Yeah,
Nar against Shen, I do believe that Nar will be doing just fine in top lane against that Shen.
I totally agree with what you're saying. I think like Shen can actually shut down Nar a little bit. Can withstand.
Yeah, like he does have his W for the Gnar passive, but eventually he will proc it. But I do think that Gnar definitely wins that top lane. There's a lot of contention in mid lane. I don't think there is a clear winner in mid lane. Viego might have a better trade, but it's gonna depend on if White can hit that knock up as the first thing, so he can get the shield before the trade begins.
The other thing that I'm looking at is that something specific. and maybe
Hmm.
you're going to agree with me, and it's the fact that maybe Shen has a little bit more of a chance right now because since Nar got a little bit hit due to losing the Strikebreaker and everything, maybe, maybe just maybe, Shen might be able to get a little bit closer and get more fights into them.
Stridebreaker is actually an interesting thing you're bringing up because it has been rising actually since they
Yes.
buffed the stats on it, and buffing the stats a little bit too much. People think so. Stridebreaker might actually just be really strong stat item now.
Yeah, it might have become a stat stick, and
Yeah,
that's pretty much what it became. Yes, it doesn't have the same utility because giving an extra dash to a character has proven to be great. You've seen it on Jin. You see it on a lot of champions that build Gale Force, for example. Champions that build Hectic Rocket Belt. Like, they get a lot for what they're doing, and sometimes losing that added mobility may hit them a little bit too hard. Like, Nar has a really good jump on the E, especially if he bounces on an enemy or at the end. But the thing is that if he misses that, he goes for 18 seconds worth of cooldown right
yeah,
there.
without an engage. Yeah, as an
Yeah.
ADC player, I hated Stridebreaker. It
Yeah, a lot of people and mid laners. I have a friend of mine that is a main mid laner, and when he was told that Strikebreaker was getting nerfed, essentially
yeah.
erasing the item, like, he was so happy, like,
I,
bar
I
none.
cheered audibly when they said that they're removing the dash on it. Like, I love playing Ashe, and against the top laners, I couldn't even participate in the fights until I've seen their top laner use Stridebreaker. And as soon as that was used, I could finally participate. Like, it was the only thing I was waiting for a lot of the times.
That there's a thing. There's a thing about, essentially, like there's essentially something that I said way back when I learned that Strikebreaker was going to become a thing. Okay, and maybe you are
Hmm.
going to be able to see my train of thought in this specific stuff. There are a lot of champions in League of Legends that are balanced fact that they don't have dashes.
Yes.
A lot of them, and giving a dash to one of those characters, even slightly, may throw away the balancing between them. We saw this item being built on Darius, on Set, on even Rengar, and a lot of people building that because it was so good, the value, the slow, the gap closer, the added spell that wasn't a spell. It was something that you would buy very early into the game that will give you a ton of advantage if it was your first item. Like, I would see I
Yeah,
would
but
see like a lot of people.
it's funny
Yeah.
that that only happened in top lane though, because for ADCs it was actually just a godsend. Like it gave ADCs the agency that they needed a lot of the time. Like the biggest problem with ADC and why they had like a lot of time where they were just considered not being able to do anything was because they didn't have the agency to stay alive without anybody else holding their hand through every team fight, right? And as soon as they got that Gale Force, the ADCs actually got the agency that they needed. Like now you can buy the Gale Force in the situation that you need. And you've seen ADCs being more in the games. Like you notice when an ADC is fed now. And I think that that has been
Yes.
really healthy for the game, giving the ADCs a dash,
Yeah,
even though
that
they were
added
balanced the other way.
totally that added mobility to characters that were essentially unmovable. That makes total sense. Like, it works in a variety of ways, and that's what I saw after Strikebreaker and Gale Force specifically. Because yes, Headtech Proto Belt existed before, and the Rocket Belt went later. But the thing that I always thought it was funny about that item is that the dash was neglectable, but allowed you to get close enough to the target. And right now it works just well. And essentially Gale Force works a little bit too. The thing is that for assassins specifically that don't predict where the Gale Force is going to go, or that extra range for an auto attack to go inside, gives a lot of utility in general.
It really does. And to bring us back into this game, the fact that Stridebreaker is now gone for the top laners have actually brought the top laners a little bit out of the game again, and that's why I think Shen is gonna come back, because Shen didn't need the Stridebreaker. He didn't really build it. He usually goes for the Tiamat so that he can split push like much better.
Yes.
And so the removal of the Stridebreaker dash did hurt Gnar more than Shen. I do not know if the stats that he gets on it still makes Gnar like a very scary champion to fight against in the top lane. And it might just be like, I haven't played with it, and the Serenity guys, I know they have tested the things. So it's going to be interesting to see what they have learned that I have not during this
Yeah,
game.
I totally see that. As we said before, the draft was actually fantastic. I think both teams have a really strong, they have a really strong composition in both sides, because they're trying to achieve different things. I think for the case of Serenity, they want to team fight, they want to stay together, and in the case of Team Sen, they want something more like
They want like a
mix.
more chaotic, spread out game, since they do have the
Yes.
stealthy Evelyn who wants to catch people as they're rotating in between lanes. She wants to keep moving around, and if everybody's gathered on the same place, her stealth almost loses its strength immediately. So she
Maybe we're
wants the
going to see
split push.
like we're going to see maybe like stealthy engages, like Evelyn going through the side with Chenault on top of her and trying to get a target. Like I think it's going to work like that.
Yeah, definitely. The Evelyn could maybe stealth behind the whole of Serenity team. They Shen'd on her, and because Evelyn is stealth, you cannot see the Shen ulting. Shen's ultimate teleports him to her, and therefore suddenly there's just a tank behind your whole team.
That's totally that's what I think too.
Yeah, that is
Because
definitely something to look out for.
so another thing that is going to be like that, it's the fact that, well, we're just starting. We're now in the champ select. So the thing that I want to talk about specifically right now is Viego. Viego is
Yes,
a champion that Viego is a champion that has a lot of bursting potential, and if he gets ahead, like, he becomes such a great menace for
he
squishy
does.
targets.
He very
Like,
quickly like he's like that ball that once it starts bouncing, it just never stops. Like, so if he gets ahead and
yes.
is able to get that first kill, he can use his passive, take over that champion, get health, and reset his ultimate, and then he's just gonna keep doing that to your whole team until you're all dead. As soon as that ball starts bouncing, it's very difficult to stop him again.
One thing that I've like seen multiple times is the fact that we also have Yone. Okay, Yone
Hmm.
is a really strong, like, it's a really strong pick overall. Okay, we know that he's been able to pop off really hard. If he gets an early lead, he becomes almost unstoppable. But I think Viego, it's a little easier for him to do that. I don't know if you would agree with that statement.
And it's not as easy for him to do that. He
Yeah,
carries in another way than Viego, though, because Viego is not that good in a side lane because he doesn't really have any tools to run away if he gets ganked. He would much rather get into fights a little bit later, maybe engage fights, just like slightly late, like 2 seconds after a fight starts. The Viego wants to go in and finish somebody off and then get the ball rolling and get through the whole fight. where a Yone he's very slippery. He can side lane, and he's a duelist, right? So he wants to get that
Yeah.
1v1 in the side lane.
I think he's going to definitely get it once we start seeing these matches. Like during the match, we're definitely going to see it, bar none.
We might even end up seeing Serenity maybe spreading out a little bit just to get that value out of Yone, because Yone is somebody where if he gets ahead, he can definitely like carry a whole game on his own. He just does it another way than Viego, where Viego
Hmm.
just goes into a team fight and ends it on his own. But a Yone really wants to duel people and says, "Hey, if you want to stop me pushing this bot lane, you have to send 2, maybe 3 champions to come stop me."
Welcome to Summoner's Rift.
Now they're mobilizing around the map.
So
For a moment, maybe we're going to be able to see what's going to happen.
30
we have an
seconds until
invade
minions spawn.
near mid.
Oh,
See if they catch anybody in there. So Evelyn dies
we're able to
early
get it. They get a really good first blood for the Kaisa, especially.
on the Kaisa, the hyper
That's
carry.
what you want. Yeah, that's what you want. That's the early lead that you want.
A very important note that was that Kaisa did have to use her flash.
Yeah, but I think it's going to be worth it.
Yeah, and Evelyn's not really gonna gank in the first 3 levels. She wants to hit level 6. She doesn't turn stealth before level 6. So I think that flash was worth it just because of the jungler that T has.
Hmm. We're seeing right now that Joan is also scouting a little bit right there, how he's moving and everything. Like we're seeing some movement there. He wants to know. Team Sen has the information on the red buff. Joan was able to see Evelyn where she's starting, and they're waiting
Oh,
for the bot lane right there. Really good
that's
start.
just a
Really
short
good
trade.
trade in the Tribush.
So a thing we haven't talked about yet is this jungle fight that is going to come up. The Zac is going to be able to gank a little bit more. He has a little bit more pressure early game because he can jump so far from already at level 3 when he picks it up. Where the Evelyn really just wants to stay in her jungle and get a lot of XP and farm until level 6. So I'm not expecting a lot of pressure from the Evelyn until level 6, where the Zac might be able to get his team rolling a little bit earlier.
Yeah, the thing that Serenity needs to have right now is to go ahead, try to get the Zac like ahead as possible. Like Zac's mission right now is to just go ahead, do have as much as an early presence as he can, like make the laners be afraid that Zac is right there on the brush, and then it's going to be able to essentially fight together every single time.
Interesting
Evelyn
pathing.
cannot get ahead.
He says, I know you're pathing butt. I know you're going to go for butt scuttle. Is he going to try and contest a butt scuttle then? Or is he just
He's
jumping
looking for a
across?
gank.
Canceling his jump, so he can't do that for another 10 seconds. Very tense.
Yeah. He's waiting for the entrance. He's seeing that Joan is actually a little low, and Viego has a lot of sustain into the lane, even though it was nerfed at the start. And we're seeing they're going to find each other. There's Zac and there's Evelyn looking at each other, staring at the sunset in the river, and they're going to start fight. Evelyn gets the smite, and Viego is moving down to the bot lane, and just cool. Evelyn got a really something huge for her because that advantage in EXP is just so necessary.
I believe the scuttle is blue.
Yeah. No.
So
Yeah, Serenity won it.
Serenity won that scuttle.
That's actually really important.
Wasn't
That's actually great for Zac because even he was able to go away unscathed.
And they're gonna try and go for it
for the
again near
second
the top.
scuttler.
He has smite up again. He does not have priority neither mid or top, so he is in a 1 versus 3 for the scuttle, so he will just have to give that up.
And you've seen Shen trying to get ahead to the Zac, trying to maybe get a little catch on him. We're seeing a very equal stuff. The only thing is that Zac has Forsaken. farming a little bit in order to get these early small objectives, and instead we're seeing right now that Serenity is trying its best to keep up and keep the early lead that they got from the start. But remember, as we've always said, Shivo, it doesn't matter if you get a first blood. Everything might turn over in just a second.
Oh, definitely. And White did fall behind, or Flame actually in the mid lane, so it is not White playing. Flame fell behind in the mid lane because he was trying to bait the Viego in to the Zac, while Zac did not have his jump up.
Everyone is playing pretty safe. That we can totally understand. Both teams tend to have specific spikes where they either go super hyper aggressive and are able to go ahead and destroy everybody else, and other times we've seen them just trying not to screw things over. We've seen both.
Serenity
right
getting
now,
that bot priority, moving a little bit in, getting some deep vision into the blue. Probably gonna see Evelyn in a second, and that's gonna open Zac up to know that they're probably gonna fight for the next Scotland bot side as well.
The thing with Evelyn is that you're playing hide and seek with her. Okay? Like you want to know where she's located, where she's going, and that's essentially what wins you the game against her. Information against Evelyn is your biggest friend. And we're seeing Zac in the middle. He slingshots. He's trying to slingshot.
He is seen.
And he wants to go in. Like, I feel in his body. He feels it.
He wanted to go in. Kirito barely getting the vision on him in the bot lane. Oh,
but
in
he
there,
knows.
around the corner.
He knows that he can't.
Evelyn's looking at it.
Right there, waiting. They have wards. In essence, there shouldn't be a problem. But they're looking for the Scuttlers. Zac goes in, and he's going to find himself with the
bot
Evelyn.
prior here. Having bottom prio means that the bot lane is going to come up and help Zac before the Evelyn gets help. And that is why he's going to be able to get this for free, just because they push those minions in bot lane. And then they are completely free to go help with the Scuttle, and the enemy bot lane is caught having to catch up in minions and farm under the turret.
41 to 36 CS, and I don't quite see the gold advantage right now. How you're seeing it?
It is definitely very close still. We're seeing some slight minion advances here and there, but what really is going to be the advantage is going to be on the dragon that's coming up here.
Fire Drake. Yeah, Fire Drake is one of the some of those early objectives that is really worth getting, because instead you have the Stone Drake, right? And we're seeing a battle in the top lane. Gnar ults Shen away and tries to keep space between them. We're seeing Gnar continuously trying to fight. He wants to get as much damage in as he can. I don't think he's going to back, and we're seeing Evelyn in the top lane. Throws her W in, misses, but still gets the charm. Now he's going to try to fight it and gets flashed on by Evelyn, getting a kill in the top lane. A really needed advantage for both Evelyn and Shen.
That was so scary for the Evelyn, barely surviving.
We're seeing Zac going in, Diego flashes out, gets hit with Zac Q, and you see Yon trying to get in, doing as much damage as he can. It was huge for both of them. They definitely needed that.
Getting the flash out from the Viego is also huge. Now Zac knows that within the next 5 minutes, he's not going to be able to escape the same way. He can come back with his ultimate and try again. Flame is now getting a deep ward into the Raptors, knowing Evelyn has not done the Raptors. Probably saying that she's a bot side, meaning they're free to take the Scuttle. The small information here gathered, letting them make the informed decisions and where to go. They're really deciding to who gets the objectives and who gets control over the early game, as Evelyn goes into the bot lane, gets the charm off of the Karma, Surfy missing her ult as nothing happens down there other than Rescued getting very low and some ultimates being used. Four people in the bot lane from T. As the call comes out from Serenity and being unable to figure out where they're at. So we go back to farming now. They know Evelyn is bot side. Zack's gonna path from top to bot now, and Evelyn's gonna path from bot to top, and it's probably gonna happen something there. Oh. Looks like she is gonna try on a lane gank in the bot lane, as she is stealth right now, so they cannot see her. This is her second try. Knows that Karma does not have her flash up, so that is the target they want to go on. Sig stepping forward a little bit too much, getting the stun, getting the charm on her. Sig is almost getting away with his life, but not quite, as they get Sig down in the bot lane, and that is their ADC down. The flash comes out of Ignite. Jhin barely surviving Rescued, now playing Happy Feet, having to dodge the Jhin ults, dodges all of them. Jhin decides to kill all the minions and probably go for some plates while the Kai'Sa is dead. Herald being popped in the mid lane, meanwhile Flame's gonna get 2 plates here. It's about 1 kill in gold for getting 2 plates. Blitz has seen the Evelyn, so they are scared of her coming mid. Seems like Yona is like, she can come, we can fight if she comes in here, and then keeps hitting the turret. Engage onto the Evelyn, very quickly going down, and that's a huge kill for Serenity. Taking down the Evelyn. And probably gonna go for the first turret here, they're at least fighting for it. Top turret's also down to 1 plate, so Serenity is way ahead when it comes to turret damage. The Shen dying in top lane, and Shen does not have teleport, giving clickbait the first turret in the top lane. Getting Serenity the first turret gold, gives extra gold to kill the first turret of the game. And getting them a little bit more pressure in the top lane, they can now move more freely into the red jungle of Team T. So we're now moving our attention down to the dragon. That's coming up in 40 seconds. It's going to be the next objective they're going to be looking at. As we're coming into it, Gnar will have his ultimate. Most ultimates are going to be up. The Shen ultimate is not going to be up, but he will have teleport to help down there. And no flash on the Serenity AD carry, which is going to be the biggest thing missing from here, as Serenity's AD carry is a huge source of their damage. As the fight now breaks out, getting the charm off on the Yone. Yone now ulting in, dying immediately. T off to a great start as they now catch Kirito off guard. Kirito now taking the Diego, shielding and dashing in as he goes down. 1 for 2 so far. With clickbait running away for his life, getting charmed by the Evelyn. As Evelyn just bursts him down, Serenity re-engages in a huge engage for that Zack. Catching the Shen off guard as you know, trying to just clean this up and then go back and take the dragon. That's a huge fight for Serenity, taking them far ahead of Team T. And it's giving them the second dragon of the game. It's 4 kills. 4 kills for the Kai'Sa. Kai'Sa is one of those champions where if she gets a lot of gold and gets ahead early, she can deal a lot of damage late game. She's one of those ADCs that scales the best into late game, and she scales with every item she builds. So getting her this gold and getting the XP from killing champions is really going to bring her ahead. And we could actually see Sig being a huge impact on this whole game from here on out. So we're now looking at Team T being on the back foot. The way that I believe that they will be getting back into the game is the game plan that we talked with Steph about during the pick and ban phase. They want to spread out. They want to try and thin out Serenity so they're not as clumped and can't play as a team as much. And then catch them with the stealth Evelyn. Catch them with the ultimates that are really easy to hit. Snar's trying to engage onto the Shen in the top lane, but Shen's just gonna walk away as an engage happens down in bot lane. Seraphine going low, probably ignite onto the Karma as they run away. Zack's gonna go for a really long jump, not quite hitting the slow. Actually onto the Evelynn as they use the Shen ult to save her. Seraphine now at 1 health. Zack is slightly out of position, having to use that jump out so he can no longer use that to engage. Shen dashing in, they're going onto the Zack, which is the tank. AoEing down, huge damage coming down onto TNT. Zack's passive being procced as they flash over Karma saying, "You're not running away, Kirito, I am catching you." As they finish off another kill for the Kai'Sa. Are you back?
Red team's turret has been destroyed.
And we're not having Steffo back yet. I do hear him in my ear though, so it will be soon that we get our favorite voice and sexy Steffo back into the call with me. Meanwhile, Serenity has picked up all the tier 1 turrets. Tier 1 is the frontal turrets, giving them a lot of map pressure. You see them walking into the enemy jungle, taking the different creeps, and now they're gonna go and get the second Herald. The second Herald is gonna help them try and just like break the tier 2 turrets. Most likely gonna be in the mid lane, so that mid lane helps the most when you're trying to move into the enemy jungle, as that's the most central piece, and then try and move on into and put more pressure on getting an inhib. And later on, when they group as a team, Team T will have to answer with some kind of wave to, or some wave to like push away Serenity from the mid lane, else they are just gonna spearhead down through mid and take down that turret in the mid lane.
Well done, Shibo. You totally were able to cover everything while I was having some specific stuff. But yeah, as we're seeing, as you said before, just like you said, Serenity was really working towards it. They were doing a lot of really good calls, really good objective pressure, really good moments like in the first tower in the mid lane. Like they were handling everything really well. Now you're seeing a fight in the jungle, in the river. You're seeing Joan going in, getting the ult, getting the double kill. Serenity's definitely killing it this game.
They are. Their lead is getting bigger and bigger, and I believe that might have been a mistake from Blitzy using the Herald in the mid lane. Not quite following it up.
Maybe not. Look, he's going to get it. The Shelly is going down and destroyed the mid second tower, leaving only
and
the
engaged
tower.
into top lane. Now it's being caught, stuck between a rock and a hard place, moving through the turrets now to try and get away.
If the hard place is called Jin with only a pistol, I totally agree with you. Getting the Gale Force inside and getting the Dark Harvest. Now Serenity's bot lane is out of position. If only the big blue blob is going to help them. You see Kai'Sa is getting a lot of damage in, getting a bunch of power right inside and is able to get back out. But Karma is going to get hit by the blindsided W. Almost a long-range kill W for Saigon.
I did not expect that to be that close. Serenity getting a little bit too overconfident with their wallet. The wallet wasn't heavy enough for them to just slap in with it.
But
and
they're still able to get in ahead. They know they can get out.
They know they can get out. They are really strong right now. They're looking for the Yone right now, or the Dragon.
Do you think we'll try it?
Teleport down to bot lane.
In the bot lane. Yes.
They're gonna try and catch him.
Caught.
They have no way of catching him. Oh, he's actually going in.
Missing the ult, trying to kill the pin out of rebound, being able to get the character, and now you're seeing Gnar trying to do as much as he can. Joan does ultimate. Maybe this is the end once.
They are now slowly pressuring Team T out of this. Team T knows they need a really good engage to win this when there are men down. Are they gonna try and fight for the soul?
Zack using the E, going inside. Shen getting killed by Zack. Right now we're seeing Gnar front laning at them. We're seeing Zack going as far as he can, getting the. I cannot even speak right now. Getting the Evelynn, getting the Jin. Zack for the triple kill. And Joan getting the Drake at the same time, doing as a feint jungler for the team. We're we're seeing Gnar right near her, but Viego is going to be able to go away. Interesting
Serenity,
fights altogether.
very interesting fight. Serenity is now on double win condition. Now they can both win by team fighting, or they can just wait for the next dragon and get soul point and push in with that. There is also a Baron coming up in 10 seconds that they can use to force that team fight. So they have a lot of options now in how to win this game, and now it's just about not messing it up.
Yes. Now, the most important aspect of what we're seeing is that they're getting farm. They're trying to negate as much farm or from for Evelyn, which it's really important. That's like the most that they need right now. And you're seeing Nar getting farm over there. You're seeing
Blue team double kill.
a Kaisa getting a double kill. And now at the same time, you're seeing that there's a bunch of damage being done on the sides. You're seeing Kaisa go on the sides, getting killed by Shen. Zac is all alone. Maybe he doesn't have the damage, maybe he doesn't have the power or the resistance. Dolan had them and kills the Viego again. We're seeing Shen trying to farm, trying to kill the minigame Zac, and Zac is going to come back and kill Shen too with the slingshot.
Now see, there it is, the slapping with the wallet, just showing how much more gold they have. That was a 3
Zac.
versus 4.
Yeah, and Zac does such a huge amount of damage and covers so much ground with that slingshot. They have pressure. They are holding up fantastically. Getting in for the Seraphine, instantly deleting through her kid, and getting also the Evelyn. He's out for blood. He wants the Jean too.
Oh my, this is a slaughter happening down in the bot lane.
Yeah, that Joan is out for blood, and Zac is close to second ace. They just want that inhibitor. They want the of them. 23, 26, 20, 26, 28 to 10 in favor of Serenity. Now we wait.
Yeah, now we wait and see if Serenity is gonna try and keep pushing here, or if they're gonna go back and take Baron. Taking Baron would be the safe play, and it seems like that's what they're gonna do. They say, we can back here, go back to the Baron, take the Baron, and then just finish it cleanly. As 3 inhibs are now down, and T will be completely stuck in base with double super minions spawning in every lane.
The reset is definitely important here. They want to be in their best shape possible when they engage the Baron. They want to secure as much objectives as they can right now, and maybe they need to be in the lookout for the dragon in about more than a minute. We're seeing them starting Baron at this very moment.
And this is the double win condition I was talking about. They can't stop them in taking Baron, but if they take Baron, they lose. As Clickbait is now very much out of position. See
No,
how
but
he
he's
plays
getting
this.
all the attention. If he gets killed at this moment, yeah, it totally sucks, of course. But one thing that he definitely did is that he secured the Baron for the rest of the team. That's what we call walling the enemy team. That's what he wanted.
Definitely very confident that his team can go in and fight them 4 versus 5 if they have Baron. Stay ultimate
Free
in.
reign. Don't ults. Kaisa strikes there. Like they look at them. They're not fighting them. What they want essentially is that they just want those towers. They want to end this game right here and there. Get the win and get the very first win to Serenity Esports.
1-0 to Serenity, getting that early advantage, building it up into more, getting that dragon down in bot lane early. As we said, that's gonna be like the big factor here. We were like, they're actually really close right now. Until they got Infernal, we were like, that might be a huge impact for Serenity. And we didn't really get to see Evelyn get much value out of her stealth. She tried a lot in bot lane. She tried actually the most in bot lane, but didn't really get much out of it. Killed Sig once, as far as I
Yeah.
can count.
So one of the things that they handled beautifully is the fact that they were able to do a huge amount of damage, get as many objectives as they could from the start, getting first tower, giving priority to the bot lane, giving priority to the mid lane. Like they did all of that.
They did do all of that. Everything that we saw early, we actually saw that Yone fell behind early, behind the Viego, and the Viego was actually the one being ahead in mid lane. And I think that's where the Evelyn maybe could have gotten a little bit more out of her ganks. You prioritized a lot in the bot lane, trying to get her Jhin ahead, trying to get the Serenity hyper carry behind. But another option that you could have had would be going mid and helping the Viego build that lead that he already had in mid lane from sending Yone back already at level 3, I believe, that he was sent back with no teleport and had to run all the way back and losing a lot of minions there.
Yeah, there were really good stuff for teams. They both handled the situations really well. One did a huge amount of damage. Both junglers had a lot of pressure, but in the end, came to the composition
It
and how pieces together.
It did. It did end up coming to the composition. At some point, Serenity just had so much gold that he even played into what the enemy wanted and could still win. Which did require up around, what was it, 6,000 lead, 8,000 gold lead before they were able to do that. But at some point, they did get so far ahead that they could do that. But it did come down to the team fights, and as we said, team fighting is not what Team Sen wanted.
Yeah,
They wanted a
to
spread
catch them
out and catching
separately.
people. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Another thing that I saw during the match is how Serenity was really conscious of what was happening, and in so that way, and in that way specifically, we saw how they were fighting. We saw everything. So right now, I think we're going to go for a break for a specific moment. We're going to solve some specific things, and we're going to be back for the second game between Serenity and Team Sen here in Starcaster, brought to you by Ilohel Esports. Welcome back.
What a game that we just
Yeah.
saw.
For a team that Serenity didn't win the first two games because Haru's Harem is really strong. But they definitely show what they're made of here in this game against Team Sen. It was
Definitely
so
showing
good.
up.
Let's get, who do you think is going to be the MVP? Who do you think is the MVP of this match for Serenity? And we're going to say the same thing for Team Sen. I put you on the spot.
I
You
am.
have to answer the call.
You put me on Serenity. Alright, so I am currently split between the Yone, the Zac, and the Kaiser. Because on one hand, very late game, Yone definitely did what we were talking about. He went bot lane and he did a 1 versus 3, right? He just went in and
Yes.
killed 3 people. But by that point, they were already ahead. So I think I would rather give it to somebody who put them ahead. And I would say the way that the Zac moved around the map, the Kaiser got her kills, but it was always with Zac in her hand. So I think I
Yeah.
would give the MVP to Zac in this game.
I totally agree with that. Blitzy, you did fantastic in this match. But we cannot say that the guys over at Team Sen slouched for any matter. They did particularly well. They tried to be as consistent as they could, advantage as they could from the start. And I think that I are definitely going to send it to Jin, because Jin did a really good job on how they were handle everything. Like, everything went according to essentially, they were trying to fight around the Jin, and they really did it really well.
They did do it extremely well. There was just it was very small things that brought Serenity ahead in the beginning, and then as soon as they got like that one tooth of like anything, right? They just like they
Hmm.
grabbed it and then they just ran with it because they were so close together, and it was the small things with, oh, we put a ward on your raptors. Now we know that Evelyn is bot, therefore we go do Herald. You just gave us
Yeah,
Herald and we didn't even see you. We just know you didn't
yeah.
do that camp. And
It's what we said from the start that it was all about information.
it was all about the information. And I think that's where Serenity won. They played the information game perfectly.
You also have another thing that is really amazing. Is the fact of composition. Okay, we've said this before. We said it on on the caster talk. That's every Tuesday, by the way, here on Illegal Esports. And the important thing is that sometimes you can lose draft. Other times it's really close. And if you think the weak link that could have become the strongest link, if you think about it, for Team Sen was Evelyn.
It was
If
Evelyn,
Evelyn
yeah.
got ahead, there was on Serenity, not even Zac, that was going to be able to contest her. Like that was the potential of the character.
No, yeah. If Evelyn got really far ahead, she would indirectly shut down the whole of Serenity, because if Zack ever jumped away or they ever did an engage forward, Evelyn would be in the back and kill everybody. So they would never be
Yes.
able to engage. And that would really enable what we talked about, where they would force Serenity into, okay, we can no longer team fight because we can't engage, and then they will be spread out and they will be able to do the pickoff game. That was really what Sen wanted. So Evelyn getting ahead could indirectly force Serenity out of team fighting, even if she didn't kill anybody, just by existing.
And so starts the drafting period for Team Sen and Serenity. Starting with the first ban comes Team Sen. What do you think they're going to ban? What do you think was Team Sen's biggest threat?
It's actually pretty difficult to pinpoint because I don't think it
No,
was
we
one
know. We
champion.
know exactly who was. No, we know exactly the Trinity that Serenity brought should be banned from their faces unless they're perfectly capable of getting away from Kaisa. Because
Yeah,
Kaisa was definitely a problem.
Kaiser was a problem. Kaiser got those kills early, and then as soon as she got ahead, they all just like flew into the faces of Team Sen and started killing. So they're going for the same bans, it seems like.
Yeah, we're seeing the same Lulu. We're seeing the Riven. We're seeing the Yumi. We're seeing the Darius.
I'm
Really,
not
really
sure
threatening
if
steps.
I'm not sure if this Yumi is just like yesterday, since the tool that they're using does not have Gwen, or if it's actually a Yumi ban. If I can get a confirmation somewhere about that ban.
Let's see the chat really quick.
Um, but yeah, besides that, they are banning the same champions. The Sed's out, the Darius out. We see the Riven ban again. They picked away Zac. Instead of banning it, they said we're stealing that. And Serenity said, "Oh, you're leaving Ezreal
Well,
up. We're,
Team
we're
Sen used Sack to really good success. You remember the pink Sack in the
I
match
do
against
remember
Krazy?
it. Yeah,
He was so annoying, but he was there in the right moment. Maybe we can see a Mordekaiser coming from Team Sen. Right now, you're seeing Serenity changing it up a little bit. They want the Seraphim for themselves this time, and we have the Ezreal pick. Such a safe ADC. I hate him.
Ezreal Seraphine. Bot lane is set in stone. You cannot pick anything to secure getting kills in bot lane anymore. You'd need something like hyper aggressive, and the only one you might kill is Seraphine.
But we're seeing a Nami. They want the disengage too. Like they have the Sack, they have the Nami, they have the Seraph. They want the disengage as a tool for themselves. But remember, mid blind picking, sometimes it doesn't matter how safe it might be, like Seraph, because we don't know what may come around the corner.
We don't know. They did show mid lane, which opens up Flame to pick exactly what he wants against that. And they decide to pick the jungler. They're leaving it open still. Trying to
Now
just.
I have my
Hmm?
reservations towards Sejuani. Okay, what do you think about the champion? Relevant right now to the meta and essentially the champion as a whole. We're also seeing the Bane ban from Serenity, and let's just wait to see what Team Sen is going to ban us this time. But tell me, what do you think about the Sejuani pick into blind?
So I actually love the Sejuani pick, but
Okay,
what I will say is that you should never pick Sejuani in solo duo queue, only in
okay.
team games, because her strength comes from her ultimate and being able to force engages, and then being very tanky and relying on her team to be able to capitalize on her engages. So when you're in solo
Serenity
and duo
taking
queue,
away both Bane and Caitlyn
ooh, the bot
from
lane
the table,
focus.
and Team Sen doesn't want anything to do with Nar, and I totally understand them. And neither do they want
Oh,
to run down with Joan. Okay,
there goes the Yona.
I totally get them. I predict a Mordekaiser on either of the teams.
Mordecai is definitely a contested pick for both teams right now. They might not want to pick it blind, and I think that's why we're waiting it so late, because none of the top laners wants to blind pick this. I'm expecting a mid pick from Serenity here, because they do know what the enemy mid is, and they can just
They
counter
need.
pick that right now.
I think they need like Serenity has so good engage, but so does Team Sand. Like at this very moment, I think they're very balanced, and what they do later, it's what going to define what's going to happen next.
The Volibear for top lane,
Huh.
we have seen that a
I
lot this
like,
tournament.
yeah, but I like how they're thinking. Okay, they want only know they want engage and follow up.
Yeah,
Like they want to CC chain, and what I can gather, we're seeing the Garen again. This is the second Garen that we're seeing, and
the
we saw
second
it
Garen,
from Haru
another
last time.
Garen, yeah. That means, yeah, they picked the Volibear, forced him out of the Mordekaiser, as Volibear does really well into Mordekaiser, and then teams then had to say, well, we have to pick Garen now. And then the comfort
And they
pick
get the
Jin.
Jin.
The
I totally
comfort pick
respect
Jin,
that.
they're known for it, and that's, yeah, exactly. They're like, well, we know what we're against. We're not really going to kill him, so I'm just going to pick what I can play and what I am really confident that I can do good on and have an impact on the game. And then he picks the Jin.
Do you think? Do you think they're playing for the long run, Team Sen? Do you think they're trying to stretch the game as much as they can? Because
It's really
that's
hard to
essentially what I
say,
see.
but Serenity has better scaling. It definitely now. Serenity
And
wins the
Serenity getting
scaling
the
game.
Cassadine. Ooh. That's going to be a threat.
That is a huge threat. Kassadin late game is a menace. So Serenity
Yes.
wins the scaling game. So Team Sen does need to win the early game and get the early leads now. And I don't see it happening in Tom. So I'm a lot of pressure in mid lane again, maybe. Trying to catch the
Yeah.
Kassadin as he goes
I
in for a farm
I
before level
see
6.
that. The thing is that they're going to need like uh the moments for ganking in the mid lane are going to be moments that are blinking and you miss it,
Yeah.
because Seraph is such a safe pick that maybe it's going to be too difficult if they're able to get on him and avoid the stun. Oof, that's a dead Seraph. But if Seraph plays to his strengths, I think he's going to be almost untouchable. But for the team that they have, they will need a lot of PL and disengage, which is something that they definitely have thanks to Sack and thanks to Nami.
They're going to be playing very reserved, definitely, Team Sen, with playing back and trying to poke. And it's really, I'm looking at this champion select. I'm giving the select again to Serenity. It's really difficult for me to see how Sen needs to play to win this one, other than just being better low.
Both of them have really strong. They have really strong teams in general. Both of them have the possibility to be really strong, and both of them may have the chance to win. Like both sides have to play perfectly in order to everything go their way.
Yeah, there's no clear-cut way to play either team comp. I'll give you that. Like it's very difficult. I'd say the easier comp to play is actually probably Team Sen, where Team Serenity
Uh,
has a. It's not that clear how they have to play because they have to kind of engage, but not really because they want to play off of the poke on Ezreal Seraphine, and then wait for them to get
yeah.
low enough for then go in with the engage on Sejuani, Volibear, and Kassadin. So they have to have like a delayed engage where Team Sen is actually just peel for the Seraph and win.
Yes. Another thing that I found really amazing about what's going about this whole draft in general is the fact that you may think I think this is going to be the actual the very first full 50-50 game that we've seen in this tournament so far. And I don't know if you're going to agree with me, but there are so many potentials of any of these matchups to go either way and escalate to heights so high that they might define the game by themselves. For example, if gets ahead, maybe both Sereth and Jin can get ahead because of that. If Sejuani goes ahead, means the same for both the mid lane and the bot lane. If Seraphine ults perfectly, fights perfectly, and everything, she can deny a bunch of damage coming their way from Sereth and Jin. But the same applies if Nami plays perfectly. And if Bolly engages really well and gets Garen out of the game, that's one less burden that Serenity has to deal with. But the same thing applies if Garen gets ahead. Do you feel what I'm feeling? Like
I think like the big thing for Team Sen is getting the Seraph ahead. I feel like that's the biggest threat for Team Serenity, and that's the thing that they have to care about the most. I don't think they have to
yes.
care that much if Garen is ahead, exactly because they have the Seraphine. Like if he runs at
Mm-hmm.
them, she ults.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be very easy for her to deal with a fed Garen, but a fed Seraph will just press his ultimate, and all of a sudden you don't have an Ezreal anymore. And Ezreal is not going to build things that helps him against a Seraph because he has to build the Divine Sunder. He's forced into that
Yes.
item.
Yes. I'm seeing like I'm seeing that Kassadin is such a good pick. Like I'm actually at a loss of words because I wouldn't have predicted that he was going to go Kassadin at all.
No, not at all. That came out of the blue. I didn't even know, and I've been playing with these guys. That was such a huge pick. We were just talking before that pick. We were like, maybe they have the scaling on Team Sin, and then they just slammed the Kassadin. Just
Another
you have
pick they could have
activated our
gone.
trap card.
I'm pretty sure that another pick they could have gone, but wouldn't have been like as strong as Kassadin. Would have been something like Oriana, Lissandra, like adding more, either adding more to the damage and CC. But this was the really good pick. Like it definitely handled itself really fantastically, bar none.
Yeah, those picks would definitely also have been like amazing picks. It would do other things for the team. I think if they had an
Mm-hmm.
Oriana or a Lissandra, it would completely clear cut how to play the team fight. Like every team fight would be you engage with any ultimate. Like they have three ultimates that can engage, and then you AoE them all down with Ezreal ult and Seraphine ult, and they just die while all being stunned. And I would make their team comp or their team fighting very easy to play.
Mm-hmm.
But they would lag, but they will lose some of their snowballing ability. They wouldn't be able to snowball as
Yes.
well. Whereas the Kassadin, it makes it more difficult to play the team fights. It's not as clear cut how to play it. But if they
Yeah.
get ahead, they're going to snowball so much harder than they were with a Lissandra.
Remember what we said before in last game that there's going to be a lot of information game,
Mm,
and we're going to see the same thing, but in a cast, because during team
yes,
fights they need to be informed where Kassadin is standing, because they're going to need to shut him down and peel for the carries in order to do this.
definitely. Kassadin is not going to come from Team Serenity and ulting forward into Team Zen. He's going to be on the flanks, on the side lanes, like around the jungle, around the team fight. And as soon as someone steps out, he's going to teleport in, throw all his abilities, teleport out, and hope just
Mm-hmm.
getting a kill doesn't really matter for the Kassadin. As long as he gets them so low that they can't participate in the fight, it's basically the same as killing them.
The last time we saw a Kassadin, I think it was between Haru's Harem and Serenity.
It was.
Serenity had to deal with a really tough Kassadin matchup because it was Lucian against Kassadin, and Kassadin was able to get ahead a lot because of that. And now we're seeing that Flame is wanting to get on that. He wants that the damage. He wants that presence. He wants to be there.
Definitely wants to be there. And yeah, I think I'm gonna I think I'm gonna cut most of this game down to the two mid laners, how they do in this game, and that's gonna determine most of it. Like who gets ahead early. They might be able to use the lead in other lanes to build it into a lead in the mid lane, but it's all going to
Mhm.
come down to who's going to be able to bring their mid laner to the front line or to the into the light, and then have them carry their whole team basically.
Yes. Another thing that I found that is going to be quite important for this match is going to be objective domination. Like they need to try to go ahead and try to dominate these spaces. They need that. How do we say it? They need specific things. They need damage. They need wards. They need vision. They need tempo. And I think this is something that both teams share really in common. The tempo and everything, like clearing speed, for example, they're going to need it. The one who
Yeah,
clears faster and gets to the first scuttler or gets to the first lane, and so another is that everyone wants to be needs to be, because there's a lot of things can happen, and this is a game that might be between the first 10 minutes.
I think we're also going to see like within with the when the scuttle spawn at 3 minutes 15 is
Mm-hmm.
both junglers are tanks, meaning when or if they fight around the scuttles, that fight's going to take a while. They're
Yeah,
both just not going to
and
die to each other, and it's all going to be
and
down
that's
to
the
the
moment.
laners.
But if you think something really important, mid lane, at least for the first 6 levels, to go to Seraph, hands
Yes,
down. And for the first 5 levels, top lane is going to go for Bolivar. Meaning
yes.
it's going to be highly contested, and maybe we're going to have 6 people in the top side of in the top side river, because they're going to want that scuttler.
Bot lane can though very easily go towards Serenity as well, but it's going to come down to Seraphine and not Ezreal on how well that goes. It, since she's the one who has the AoE abilities to control the waves, she has much more
Yes.
utility to control how the waves are going to go in the bot lane. So it's going to come down to the Seraphine if they're going to have priority in bot lane for the bottom scuttle. Since it's going to be the side laner, since mid lane we know Sarah's going to have the priority, and Sarah's going to be the one to be there. So they need the side laners to build the priority at 3:15 to go help with the scuttles.
Yes.
Unless we just see them start opposite sides and take and trade scuttles.
I really like what I'm seeing. Okay, like I love how the teams are building themselves, how they're fighting, and something very interesting is the fact that Garen went Ignite.
Garen went Ignite, you say?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, no
Yes.
teleport. He's gonna try. That says to me
Mm-hmm.
that he has no plans of helping with the dragon early. He wants to steamroll the top lane. So he's just gonna try and get ahead of the Volibear, try and trade with him, and then use his Ignite to just kill or send the Volibear back, and then just put so much pressure on top lane that Volibear has to use his teleport top,
To Summoner's
and thereby taking away the dragon opportunity from Serenity, or at least the top support for when taking down dragon.
Yes.
Serenity going for another in vain.
spawn.
Yeah, they want that. They want. They want these fights. That's what they want, really.
They went for the information play. Putting down a ward at
Yeah.
the red, seeing where the jungler stands.
Where are you going to start? When is your red done? Where are you located right now? That's what they want. You're seeing Sejuani wanting to go too into the jungle because he also wants to ward. And you're seeing pinks all around for both Sarens and everyone.
Hey, look, I'm holding the world up.
Sejuani deciding to start the place where they just saw Zac tells me that she is very confident that her top lane is going to get priority for that top scuttle, and they want that scuttle fight. Because now they're going to be pathing the same way.
And I wouldn't be completely sure about that because, as we said before, there's this huge looming thing that is the fact that Garen has
Ignite.
flamey hands. Like, Garen might not care. He wants those early trades. He wants to get Bully, as we said before, he wants to get him done.
So the early trade's going to matter in top lane between Clickbait and Zen. Then both trading even actually means that Garen wins because of Garen's passive giving him health back. Volibear does have an extra potion compared to Garen though.
Getting the early trades, really, Garen's doing a lot of damage.
Doesn't look like a top priority.
And we're seeing a bunch of damage being thrown here and there.
Oh, never mind, as I'm proven wrong.
Oliver going inside, flashing Q and W, using the press the attack advantage right there and there.
The Garen was deleted from the game, didn't even have a chance to use his Ignite, and because he doesn't have teleport, he's gonna lose all of those minions now.
If something that has Bolivar that I absolutely despise tanks having is an absolute beast of a burst at level 3.
Oh, definitely.
We're seeing the bot lane, he wants the 4th bullet and launching the grenade in the bot lane.
So most lanes going as we predicted. We didn't think that Garen would die this early with an Ignite, giving him the trading advantage, but if he never gets to use the Ignite, I guess he wins. As Sejuani decides to go on Crooks instead of the Scuttle, giving away the Scuttle, and they are not using the teleport from Clickbait to get it.
Yeah, they want they want to have presence. We're seeing that the skirmishes in the bot lane. We're seeing there was like a really small fight right there. Clickbait going with the E, having the W on top of Garen, waiting to use their Q. Sejuani coming right in, going for Q, and Clickbait is going to be to get another kill on Garen, and this is super detrimental for this lane because without teleport, he's going to miss a lot.
That is so much pressure. If Zac wants to turn around top lane, he's not just gonna have to
Zac
gank
going
once.
in with Zac. We're seeing Clickbait fighting, and
In the
Zac
top
gets
lane,
almost away. No, he's playing
Zac's-
the minigame. He wants it. He gets another kill, getting the killing spree early in the game for Clickbait as the Volibear.
that is such a huge lead in top lane. We're at a point where Zac has to put so many resources into top lane to bring it back if he wants that it might not just be worth it, and just try and get somebody else ahead and use that lead instead.
You can see Sejuani trying to pressure a little bit in the mid lane. She wants to get something, and she wants Cassidy. Cassidy, come here. We're definitely getting this, and you're here to. And you are going to help me.
You are going to watch as I
You're
take
going
this.
to watch. You
Teleport
see a
in bot lane.
teleport for the Bolivar, getting into the Jin, getting the shield, trying to get the damage. The Astral landed the Q, and in the middle lane, you can see Cassidy and Seraph. The flash from Seraph getting in range for the Q. It's going to be a clean kill for the mid lane on the flame. Also gets killed by Seraph, and you're seeing the early advantage between Sejuani and Sack. Sejuani is level 5 right now. Sack is just level 4. We can see the amount of CS. Sack has 28. Sejuani has 31, but you need to take into consideration that Sejuani was involved in different fights, and we're seeing the battle in the Drake.
Seraph using his teleport into bot lane. They no longer have that. That Q from Seraph also indicates that they had no vision when they walked in. Serenity decides to walk away as...
And they get the early kill with the ultimate on Blitzy.
Serenity risking it all for a Cloud Drake, one of the worst Drakes to get early.
Definitely not the best one because it's not as appreciative as the early damage and the regen, but it's definitely better than a Stone Drake, and I can totally get behind for them to want to get as much as an early lead as they could, especially if they build that movement speed that they so desperately want.
Getting that kill onto Seraph is actually huge for Team Sen. As we talked about earlier, they need that Seraph ahead to be able to do anything late game teamfight wise.
But it might be a little too late because Kassadin is level 6.
Kassadin has hit level 6, so this is where that Havoc might be wrecked as he can...
And you see, oh, she didn't go through!
As they jump over the wall in bot lane.
And we're seeing Bolivar getting a 2v1 and getting the jump of Garen. We also see that they got that Cassidy was able to get the Nami, and they're once again into the dragon. They want it so bad with the skin of their teeth. And also, it's still backfiring the decision, not only of bringing Garen, but tonight to a matchup that really benefits of 1v1s.
Such an aggressive game by Serenity, over a kill a minute.
And really good, and they also got a really good smite right there, denying the Seraph of the glory of stealing the dragon.
Blitzy just having a look.
Hey, I'm here. I'm putting all my pressure into you. You cannot do anything from me unless you're done this. W snare from Seraphine going back in. Holy, they did able, and Sak is going back in, but I don't think he's going to get that much from it. But Sigyn definitely wants that Nami kill. He so desperately wants it.
Blood on 6 teeth as Kassadin now coming down, trying to clean house. Going for the Seraph.
He's doing full janitor here. He even has the janitor skin. He's going in, and Seraph is going to be dead. Do you think he's going to go for more? He's definitely looking at it. Oh, and the
Sack being forced to flash out
the angel
there.
with me. He definitely wants that. Kassadin looking into it. You're seeing Seraphine already clearing the support item at 8 minutes, which means that we see vision control from Team Serenity right now.
And I think that we're seeing where Eswell says, okay, if my Kassadin is gonna be bot pushing out the wave, I can go mid, I can push that out, and that way none of them has lost any minions during this.
But we're seeing that Garen, even though staying a little behind, he's still trying to get as much pressure in the top lane as he can. Yeah, Bolivar, you might be able to kill me as many things as you want, but you're not getting away from this lane. Which is super important.
The mythic item on the Volibear already.
Yeah, but something that is really important in this game particularly is the fact that if Bolivar cannot spread the lead that he has, it's not going to mean a lot.
It is not going to mean a lot. Kassadin has been able to get 3 kills as they're going onto the
In the
engage.
guidelines, Sejuani ulting, and Kassadin getting the jump on Seraph, and Zac disengaging, trying to hold your dear life away from the bad people that is Serenity Esports.
As Kassadin Snowball has now gotten a push and it has started rolling. We'll see how big that snowball gets from the Kassadin with 4 kills right now.
And we're seeing bounty calls. We're seeing that Serenity has 450 gold on the head of the Bolivar and 450 in the head of the Kassadin, which is huge.
Definitely huge. Looks like we're looking at the Herald, or they know. Oh, they know clickbait's way in there, and they're gonna go for the re-engage.
Yeah, but the problem is that he is not alone. Zac gets out of his passive, Sejuani goes in, and Kassadin kills the Garen, they kill the Zac, and they're home free to get in the Rift Herald.
Ezreal picking up a kill from bot lane for himself with his ultimate across the map.
And he says, "You're out here. I don't care. I don't want you here in my lane. I want you farm in piss." Going full Super Saiyan here with the passive of Seraph, and with Nami and Jin back in, we're maybe going to see a couple of plates dropping in the bot lane.
We're gonna see a couple of plates drop an early Herald for Team Serenity again. Gonna give them another 2 free plays as soon as Sejuani ever kills that. As we said, they are tanks, so it's gonna go pretty slow when they're doing objectives and fighting each other.
We're seeing the fight, and we're seeing Garen that is actually doing a bunch of damage, but still clickbait. He feels perfectly comfortable in the lane, and maybe he's going to look into fighting a little later. We're seeing the Zac appearing here. He wants to slingshot in, hitting on the Seraphine, and essentially trying to do as much damage as he can. The Jhin getting a little too close for comfort, getting ulted by Seraphine, and then we have Ezreal trying to ult down and killing the Jhin.
The re-engage from Angels going onto the Seraphine. The Seraphine going
We're
low.
seeing the Kassadin fighting against the Kassadin. We're seeing the Seraph right there. He wants to get that. He wants to fight, and he was able to get killed by the Nami. Ezreal, Sigyn, you wanted that kill so bad. I totally understand it, bro. We totally get that.
Huge kills for Team Sen. Open them up to now try and catch the Sejuani.
We're seeing a 7,000 gold lead on top of Serenity. And Blitzy, you're overstepping.
Sejuani having her flash up. Not
And
quite
this is
pressing
going
it in
to
time.
allow... Yeah, and that's going to allow Team Sen to actually get a small lead on them, because the Dragon is going to be for them. Clickbait missing the auto attack,
Slam
but definitely
dunk.
getting into the ult. Dunkmaster Bolivar went.
Now 1 dragon for each team.
The Kassadin doesn't want to allow that Nami to go away unscathed. And we're seeing Clickbait right there waiting for the Zac. He was able to flash away, but no. The blonde guy himself is going to get there. And even though Seraph just used the flash trying to avoid Kassadin going away, I'm sorry, you're no stepping him.
Second going over the wall now. Volibear stealing some of the jungle camps. They're really asserting their dominance into the enemy jungle right now with 2 wards so deep that they know if anybody's coming there, and they know nobody's coming, so they go for the side.
The ultimate goes in. Same goes for the Ezreal, and the dive for Bolivar. Like, Clickbait this is what we said before. Clickbait is give other lanes part of his advantage. The ultimate comes to return using the dog. She hasn't used the Q before now. She just wants to save it for either escapes or flashes. Yeah, Seraphine is alone, but not for long. You have the Ezreal coming right in, and they are for safe. But we don't know that for sure because Clickbait doesn't believe in anybody.
Long range pokes now coming out. Serenity just falling back saying, we got what we wanted, now we want to go back and use the gold that we just earned from those fights. A lot of time until anything comes up.
This team, Serenity's team right now, is definitely party business in the front and party in the back due to Seraphine. Because of those ults and fireworks, that's definitely a party back then.
Having their own disco ball in the back line.
Yeah. Yeah, and you ain't going into this party due to how the fights are going right now. It's going to be really difficult to get into that bad way.
Serenity party.
Yeah.
And Team Sen is not invited into the back line.
We're seeing 3 people in the mid lane, but they just need one Bolivar. You don't need anybody else.
It's a solo engage
He
in mid
goes
lane.
in, solo engage against the Jin, killing the Jin. He now wants in for either the Nami. Is he getting to get the Nami? No, but he's perfectly fine. Trying to get the sack. Steric's cage pops up, and now he decides to retreat back. This is my house now.
The bouncer left the front door of the house and started bouncing Team Sen all the way from the other street. Oh my, had no teammates near him at all and still did the engage and got a kill and got away.
We're seeing the sack. He wanted that blue, but he found something a little bit more juicy. He's going to get out? Yes, it appears so. No, he's silenced by the Garen. And the Garen getting that huge 1,000 gold bounty from the head of the Cassidy. Really nice catch. And goes to show that you cannot be too greedy. That blue buff doesn't belong to you.
Cassidy trying to pull a clickbait in the blue buff didn't quite work out. As we see,
but mistakes like this ones may give Team Sen what they need. Greediness may always bring you something bad to you, and you need to be extra careful in these situations.
That 700 gold bounty on the Volibear is so key for Team Sen to pick up onto the right champion. If Serath picks that up, if Jin picks that up, it might actually pull him back.
They're definitely back in the game. They're going to get the Sejuani. They want to stop her as much as they can, burning every single ult that they can. But they're going to be counter-ulted by Seraphine, getting the Garen. With Mr. Bolivar trying to move himself, you're seeing the Astral going so deep into it. He just wants it, getting the Jin too. And now, Seraph, without ultimate, without anything, you're just at the mercy of the big bad bear.
Dragon coming up in 25 seconds. As I believe Serenity is just gonna go and force it. Team Sen cannot fight right now. As the wallet of Serenity is so big with 10,000 gold lead for Team Serenity.
And now they're getting their 4th tower in the game. We're seeing Zac trying as much as he can to defend it, but it's not going to be. We're seeing Cassidy not only trying to stall the Garen, but he wants as much XP, as much presence, and as much gold as he can, getting over a 50 CA on top of Serath. Look at Click. He wanted that red. No, this is mine.
In there.
I don't believe in no ADC. The gigantic Boro machine is coming there. Ezreal is going to get a lot of. He's going to get punished a lot because even though they're not really ahead, they're still able to hold their ground at least a little bit.
And Serenity has been pulling something here where they're spreading really thin into all the lanes and then pushing them, the whole of Team Sen back under their turrets, and then they take their jungle. Meanwhile, choking them out of gold and choking them out.
To the bot lane. Maybe he wants to get a catch on Jin, but what he doesn't know is that he's going to be awaited by Zac and Nami themselves, and they're not going to allow precious man to be killed once again. Maybe, I don't know. We're seeing the Zac that is getting captured by
Cassidy.
But he was able to go out as on. We're on the Baron. They're definitely wanted. No, it's the Herald. I'm
That's an
so
arrow.
sorry.
As they managed
We're
to get
seeing
it in time
Bolivar. He
before
wants in.
Baron spawns.
He wants to bring the party to them. Hey guys, don't you want to party? I'm Bolivar.
5-man mid with Herald. This is gonna be a tower dive.
Yeah, we're going to see the early ultimate catching the Jin outside. The Serpent ultimate landing. They want the Garen too. They want the sack. They want everything. Shelly is just hitting away on the tower, and they also were able to get the sack.
Blue team's inhibitor has been destroyed.
And if Shelly gets those 2 charges off here, there is not much Sim can do about stopping this. And I believe this will
Denying
be
both
game
the
2.
towers, they just want to finish it. Cassidy does so much damage.
There's
Getting
so
shot down
much
by
damage.
Tyrant, but it's too little too late. Because the game 2 is going to go to Serenity.
Serenity pulling up their big boy pants, fighting over and over again. Getting that huge lead in the beginning, over a kill a minute. That was such an aggressive game from Serenity, and it just paid off heavily for them. Extremely well
Props.
played.
Really props to the coach of Serenity Esports. I think it's White Ninja, because those picks were spot on. This is what they needed. This is what needed to happen during these games, and they totally account for it. It was fantastic. Now the standings are in. Maybe the next week we're going to see Team Sen against Haru's Harem. Uh, really, two really good teams in general. Team Sen might have not win a single game tonight, but they definitely showed that they were going to fight for it, and that's actually super important.
That is very important. And then while this is on screen, I want to remind everybody that this whole tournament is brought to you by Elo Hell Esports, an amazing community, a really great place where they do tournaments for a lot of games. If you can think it, they're probably doing a tournament for it. And it's sponsored by ExpressVPN that you can use to protect yourself on the internet when you're surfing around, so nobody's snooping on where you are.
Another thing that is really important is that this whole live stream was brought to you by our amazing producer, Cynthia, and our amazing curator that was in charge of the servers, creating the rooms and everything. That was our friend Starstro. I butchered the name again. I'm so sorry. Starstro64, which is definitely not a game from a console that has the same number. So, Shibo.
Yes.
Who would you say was definitely the star for Serenity during this match?
This time it's gonna be a lot easier. That Volibear in the top lane just took it home all the way through that game. Clickbait
Took advantage of the early game, fought 2v1. He was there when they needed. He spread the advantage that he had towards the rest of the team. He did it beautifully, fantastically. And I have to say that Team Sen, that Seraph was definitely the ace. It had such a good presence. Every ult it landed. They wanted to fight. Sure, things were a little on odds against them, but they were definitely fantastic. So, Chivo, do you have any special message or something that you want to say to our watchers right now to send them off?
Yeah. Thank you all for joining. I am hearing that we're also having a caster talk on Tuesday. So if you want even more content from this, if you love what you're seeing, go ahead and hit the follow button. Join us on Tuesday. Do you remember what time it is?
Tuesday, I think it's going to be at 7. Same applies like the matches. And I think that time, I think it's going to be you and Rich Red. But we'll just have to see about availability and if they're able to get them. But for now, this has been Shibo. This is Steph. And I'm so glad and thank you for the opportunity to watching. really congratulations to both teams because both of them did really good. Right now, we're seeing a draw for with Haru's Harem getting the advantage, and you're seeing Serenity and Team Sen with 1 point. Thank you guys for watching, and as we said before, we will see you guys on Tuesday with the Caster Talk. See you guys then.